Choose one.
Okay, so getting right into it, here is the folder, or at least here are the files that are on Canvas that I should download for this ETV cycle. Or, well, welcome to ETV cycle 1. Sorry. So here are the files. So within my downloads folder, I have ETV cycle 1, CSV, coffee, empty. Then coffee purchases. Okay, so that is your, that's what we need. What we're going to then do is open up our summer file on our desktop. Let me make sure this is the right one. Go to desktop, click on that. That's the correct one. All right, so we're going to do two things. So one huge thing that we're going to do is within the data directory, we're going to move, I already have it there, but it's fine. We're going to move the coffee purchases there. This is not going to pop up. This is not going to pop up for you because this is your first time working with this CSV. I'm going to say replace. Okay, boom. Go back one. Under R, I'm going to create a new directory called ETV cycles. ETV cycles. Okay. And then I'm gonna click on ETV cycles, and then I'm gonna create a new directory within that called ETV cycle _1. Okay, pretty easy. Once you do that, we're just gonna move this file into this directory. Boom, just like that. All right, so now that we have that, we can now open up Positron. Okay, open up Positron. So here we go. Boom. I'm gonna make it wide so that we can see everything. Okay, so we're here in Positron. We're gonna now open up our directory. Mine's already here. I'm just gonna start from scratch. I'm right here. I'm gonna go to desktop, open up this directory, and then just press open. Okay. I'm gonna say I'm gonna allow this. Okay. Boom. Close this out. That's from some time ago. And then if you look closely, okay, we have our directory as we've seen before in the past. We have our ETV cycles, ETV cycle 1. We can now open it up in R. Okay. So I don't know if you can see me still. Can you still see me? Well, that's not neither here nor there. So here, welcome to ETV cycle 1. Yay. So when it comes to this particular data set, this is a data set that I've been collecting since 2018. I currently don't have 2026 data in it, but it's all my coffee purchases for the last, let's see something, last 6 years. Just want to make sure. All right, let me move myself a little bit. Getting used to this. So this is Positron. I'm pretty sure you watched the other previous videos on this. But what we're going to do is click this 3 dots and go to edit in source mode. It's easier to just make things make more sense in this mode. Okay, so that's that. So again, like I was saying earlier, this is my data set from 2018 in terms of all the coffee purchases that I've made in the last 8 years. And I want us to play with it. I want us to get, answer some questions. So 2 questions that we're going to, eventually answer in video 3, especially, is to see in which months is the most money spent on coffee. And then does this monthly pattern remain consistent over the years, across the years, okay? And we're gonna answer these questions visually. And I'm gonna say this, hopefully again, we could have answered these questions using tables, but let's create a visualization. All right, so the next big thing to address is this concept called two concepts called a package and a library. A package contains a bunch of different functions. At times it can even contain data. And what we need is actually to bring in those functions to R so that we can actually use it, or bring it up into Positron so that we can actually use it. And that's when we download them, when we install them into our computer, they're no longer going to be called packages, they're called libraries because we have access to them. So what you're going to do, because this if this is your first time, you're going to just install within the console, install .packages, and then within quotes or double quotes, it doesn't matter, you can just type in tidyverse. So this tidyverse allows you to have the capacity to work with various libraries, libraries that allow us to do all sorts of things. But the thing is, I don't like to, once I install it, I traditionally don't like to load it because I want us to actually build a foundation of understanding where these packages and where these functions are coming from. Okay, long story short, we're going to actually just do individual packages, okay? So the very first one is going to be here. Okay, we're going to, utilize the library here to be able to work with different file paths. The next library that we're going to install, or at least load, is readr to be able to read in a CSV file. The next one we're going to load in is dplyr to make various transformations, which we'll do in video 2. The next one we're going to do is load in is called lubridate, and that is going to allow us to work with time related data. The next one is forcats, and that allows us to work with factors. Okay, allow us to work with better handle strings within R. And then last but not least, ggplot for data visualizations. So if you run this, and depending on the sequence of the videos, you might incur an error. For example, when you load in the tidyverse, or when you install the tidyverse, here is not installed. So what you can do if that does happen is type install.packages and just type here. Install here just like that. And you don't have to install every single time. You just have to load it every single time. Okay? So when I run this, I should not get any errors. Okay, so the red is a warning message, no errors. We're good to go. All right, so let's answer this question. It says, why do we use dplyr instead of library tidyverse? Okay, it's forcing us. The reason why we prefer this is because it forces us to be aware of which packages each function belongs to. Okay, so loading the full tidyverse loads a bunch of 8 or more different packages at once, but we don't get to really see where different functions are and libraries actually come from. Okay, so with that being the case, I think this is a really cool opportunity for us to talk about the E within extraction. Okay, so extraction is the process or the ability to bring in data into R or into Python. Just bring R into a place that we can bring data into a place where we can actually do some type of transformation or visualizations to it. So you can write this in your own words, but I would say how I would articulate this is that data extraction is the process of importing or retrieving, if I can spell, data from an external source. And so we're going to talk about some very straightforward ones in this class. Initially CSVs, Excel sheets, Excel files, and then we're gonna, scrape data from the internet. That's so cool. So then we'll get more advanced. So our very first step, in order for us to bring data into R, and I'm actually gonna break this up. I'm gonna copy this. Okay. And I'm gonna comment this out. Okay, so comment is command /, okay. And I'm gonna call something path less than dash boom. Okay. So this is the path to DF. Okay, this is the path to DF. So what this thing is doing is going to this data, okay, and storing where the file path to this CSV. So when I run this, boom, okay, I now see the path in my values, okay, the path. And if I wanted to actually see it explicitly, path to DF, I see it down here, okay? It's in my data directory here. Okay, boom. So now that I have that, I'm going to take this information and then I'm going to use the function, which is not seen here, called read underscore CSV and plug in the path. I'm going to plug in the path here. Boom. Bam. And run. So now that I've run this, okay, I now have my coffee data frame in R. Okay, so here we go. So we have date that looks funny. We have description, where I went. Lucy's is a coffee spot. That it's still here in slow. The amount that I spent, what account it was coming from, the month that the extra purchase was made, year, and then the day of week. Okay, so those are the variables in my data frame. Okay, so some things to be aware of. Okay, one huge thing to be aware of is that we're utilizing this function called read CSV because we're reading in a CSV file. Easy. Okay, the next thing to know is the path to data frame is the actual location of the file in your computer. We're using this here function to allow us to, and as you can see my cursor, I just noticed that within Positron, when you highlight something, it actually gives you help on what that thing is. But this here library allows you to see allows you to locate the actual file. And then this little doohickey here that we didn't get to really emphasize is the assignment operator. That allows you to store the object on the right, whatever information is on the right, into what's said to the left. Okay, so I'm storing the actual data frame into coffee data DF. Okay, so please note one more thing is that I am intentionally using the underscore DF so that I can have a systematic way of referring to information. Okay. So let's write this down. So this is the assignment. This is the assignment operator. It stores the object on the right hand side into the variable on the left. Okay, left hand side. And then yeah, so that is that. So when it comes to what is the difference between, let me see something. Oh, we're good on time. So real fast, so what is the difference between read CSV, read R, and read.csv from base R? These are all different ways of bringing in data. These are all different ways of bringing in data into R, okay, using the CSV. Different ways of bringing CSVs into R. Okay, so I taught you read underscore CSV, but then you can also use read R and read.csv, whereas read underscore CSV is much faster. Okay, let's take a pause here and then continue in the next video.